Just as things are going well and you start to forget, Michael Bidwill gets inducted into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. What a joke. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Do I say that too fast? I've said that thousands of times, so I don't know if I say it too fast. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel. Search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. The search for 4,000 subscribers before the season starts. I'm 200 away. It'd be awesome if you don't subscribe and you watch more than not. It helps me out a lot. If not, I'm just happy that you're here. It's not something that I would ever eat your lunch for if you're not subscribed. But I'd appreciate it. Leave a like on the video. You know the drill. So we got a lot to talk about today. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan and the 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay tuned for the Armada Player of the Week later in the show. So this is kind of a grab bag Friday show. I was going to do an entire show on Michael Bidwill. I think that's ridiculous to do. I was going to do an entire show on the top 30 visits for the Cardinals. I'm going to do that next week, but as I talked about yesterday, I've got a different thought on it. And I don't know why I think this, but I'm going to share it with you. And then the Gray Zable talk. If you don't know who Gray Zable is, you will in the third segment. And then we'll wrap it for the weekend and hit it hard next week. So Michael Bidwill gets inducted into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. Why? He's been a pillar of the society of Phoenix for a long time. Okay. He's brought money out to, dude, I don't get it. And here's the thing. I'm harder on Michael Bidwill than maybe rationally I should be. But normally I say and there to keep it positive. But when you have ongoing lawsuits against you, when there have been scathing allegations of misconduct in the workplace, that's a wrap for me. That's a wrap. And I've stated multiple times on purpose on this show to over-communicate that this is a football podcast. Okay? When I did Locked On NFL, when I was with Tyler Rowland with Locked On Titans, and there was stuff about Deshaun Watson, and there were things like that on the outside, we stuck to football because that's what I'm hired to do. That doesn't mean that the other stuff isn't important, which it is. It's more important. But it's not something that I'm equipped to talk about. Now, with this, it's just something that isn't discussed enough about the things that he's done wrong, whether it be harassment, whether it's racial, whether it's regarding gender. There have been multiple reports of him being a bad person and a bad boss. It's not just the players. So now he gets inducted to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame. It's like, oh, cool. Sweet. And I'm conflicted because ever since firing Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, he's done everything he said he was going to do from a football sense. But when you see all this positive momentum going with this organization, from Monty Ossenfort down, for everydayers, you'll know this. I say this, once every couple months. The way I look at the Arizona Cardinals is the way I look at a huge tent that people get married under in inclement weather. It's like, okay, it's going to be outside, but if it starts to rain, we've got this set up with all the tables and everything ready. Monty Ossenfort down. Monty Ossenfort, coaches, players, down, is under a tent in the middle of State Farm Stadium, and Michael Bidwill is State Farm Stadium, where you can have a stable organization from GM down supersede ownership if ownership stays out of the way. And that's what's happened over the last couple of years, 2.5 years now, which is great. And we're starting to see a real transformation from the dysfunction that the Bidwill family has instilled in all of us, media, fans, whatever. We're starting to see a pivot away from it because there's stability from the tent down. This is just a bull in a china shop reminding people that Michael Bidwill still looms. And it's so cringeworthy to see from the Arizona Cardinals, social media team. They got a tough job. They've had a tough job. They do a great job. You've got to gloss up your owner, the guy who signs the paychecks. I get it. But like all of these people saying, oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael Bidwill. Patrick Peterson, what a joke. Patrick Peterson requested a trade twice. All he did was talk bleep about this organization, Steve Keim and Michael Bidwill, since leaving. And now he's back because he wants to be in the Ring of Honor. Give me a break. Give me a break, man. Should he be in the Ring of Honor? Sure. Does he deserve it? No. It's how you leave. It's not how good you are in the first 3 or 4 years as a player. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Michael Bidwill. It's like somebody paying for their own surprise party, inviting people, and then pretending that he's surprised when everybody says surprise. That's what this is. And it's an absolute joke. It's a joke. It's something that, although the funny part is, the Arizona Cardinals look like the most stable run organization in Phoenix right now, which is bonkers. Having said that, multiple allegations, scathing reviews, terrible report cards across the board over the last, this is the 3rd year they've done it. The Cardinals have been in the bottom every year. So you give Michael Bidwill, here you go, buddy, along with Mike Bibby, who had allegations of his own that I think were squashed, but that's interesting. Julie Ertz, U.S. Women's National Team stud, married to Zach Ertz. She's great. She should be in there in a heartbeat. It irrationally pissed me off that this was such a big deal because he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. This is just rich people getting what they want. I reiterate, it's like somebody setting up their own surprise birthday party, paying for everything, and then acting surprised when people say surprise. It's a joke. It's self-serving, it's egomaniacal, and this is who Michael Bidwill is. Luckily for the organization and for the team specifically, he realized he doesn't know jack about football, and he's letting the football people do football things. It's a joke. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Edge elimination. What do I mean? I'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. The Armada Player of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, we're taking a look at our draft prospects to pick one guy that stands apart, the guy we believe showcased the strength and power needed to push the Cardinals forward as we look ahead to the season. This week's Armada and clear-cut Player of the Week is Gray Zable. Boom! We'll talk about him in the final segment. Duke can play every interior offensive line position. The Cardinals need depth at all three. Bingo, bango, bunga. When it comes to Nissan Armada, they say, go forth and conquer. And that's exactly what I think Gray Zable's going to do. Hopefully he does it with the Arizona Cardinals. It's clear that our Player of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can with the all-new Nissan Armada or any of their outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. I could do a segment every day about how Michael Bidwill has held this organization back every day, but I choose not to because there's no there's no constructive way to do it because it's an immovable force. He ain't selling the team, so you just got to accept it. You just got to accept it. But when he gets accolades with all of the heinous stuff that he's alleged to have done, I call hooey fish on that. Nana used to say that, hooey fish, when she got really upset. Are the Cardinals eliminating edges by bringing them in for top 30 visits? Because I'll tell you what, partial list of top 30 visits: Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M. Femi Oladejo, edge, UCLA. Princely, edge. Nick Scourton, edge. Jalen Walker, edge. James Pierce, edge. Michael Williams, edge. I'm wondering something, okay? Now, top 30 visits, you want to see, how I choose to think about what the organization looks like as they're going through their top 30 visits is clearing up any sort of questions, whether it be injury, off the field, production, whatever. This is your chance to see under more of a microscope who this player is and what he's capable of. And with how deep this pass rusher class is and how set up the Cardinals are pick-wise through the first 5 rounds, I can't help but think, it's like, which one of these guys could fall? Which one of these guys could we get in the 40s? Which one of these guys could we get if we trade back? I feel like the Cardinals are asking themselves those questions and not who's going to be perfect at 16. It's so difficult with so many guys to pick the right one that fits the scheme, fits the mold, would be a good partner with Bija Ojulari and Josh Sweat and Baron Browning. But I can't help but think it's like, okay, Will Johnson's there taking him. Best offensive line at 16, taking him. Which of these guys can be gotten in the second round? Which of these guys could be gotten at the top of the second round with the trade up? Marcus Mosher, Locked On Cowboys, and one of the best draft minds out there. Total nerd for draft. It's great in the best way. He was on Guest Week, which was last week. I believe it was Tuesday. Go watch that. It was awesome. He in the first segment, he does this thing where he takes all of the top draft minds, 10, 12, 15 of them, I believe, the mock draft minds, and averages out the average draft position for the top 100 players on the board. And he said there were 148 people on that top 100 board who were drafted in the top 100, depending on top pundits from mock drafts. He's like, nothing he's ever seen before. This is a very, very deep draft. And Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out, it's a starter draft where there's not an insane amount of blue chippers, but you're going to get starters from this draft, which is exactly what the Cardinals need. Stability, raise the floor. That's it. It's not about the ceiling in 2025. It's about the floor. Ceiling will take care of itself. It's about the floor. Predominantly on offense, but it's about the floor across the board. So edge elimination is like, are they looking to see how much wiggle room they have if they want to move back? If they want to just stick and pick an offensive lineman at 16? If Will Johnson's there and they want to take that outside corner CB1 and move him into this scheme with Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon? It just seems so next level thinking that would be it. I mean, they're obviously bringing in interior defensive linemen too. They brought in Cam Scatteraboo. They're bringing in dudes. But when you bring in that many pass rushers, first, it shows how many there are, okay? Only 46 players can be taken before the Cardinals pick their second round pick. So there's going to be plenty of talent. I know you could say that about offensive line as well. I completely understand that. I'm just bullish on the fact that there may be 2 guys in this draft in the first 2 rounds who could play interior and you could start right away. And if there's a premium on those guys and you reach a little bit at 16 when they would normally go at 26 or 27, it doesn't matter. That's your only first round pick. If you want to get your dude. Who cares? And then you do your extensive research on the very deep pass rushing and interior defensive line class. Just fascinating to think about, man. Because, again, they brought in like 7 or 8 guys. And I mean, they're not even done yet. Draft is 2 weeks away. They're not even close to done sifting through. And with all of this, I just wanted to fold in the cheese with this it's just showing, every show that I do is just showing how many possibilities the Cardinals have. All they have is opportunity. All they have is to figure out what elixir of players during the first 5 rounds of this draft can make this team ready to rock week 1. As compliments, there's no position that needs to be saved by a rookie, which is a far cry from the last regime. It's a far cry from, oh, hey, Marco Wilson, you're CB2. You're not ready? I don't care. We don't have anybody else. You see the difference? It still needs to be executed. Kyler Murray still needs to play well, all of these things, of course. But all the front office can do and all the coaches can do is set this team up for success in any way that they can. And this is how Monty Osborne can set this team up for success. And you look at all of like any position the Cardinals take at 16, outside of quarterback, tight end, running back, you could validate. Safety, you could validate. Truly. Even if it's wide receiver, I'd hate it. I think it's stupid, but I guess you could validate it if they don't think Michael Wilson can and Greg Dortch can share that wide receiver 3 role. And yes, Trey McBride's wide receiver 1. I'm just going to call him wide receiver 1 because he is. He's a tight end. He's wide receiver 1. You could validate any of them. You could validate drafting a left tackle and moving Paris Johnson Jr. to the right. You could validate that if Kelvin Banks is there. You could validate it because Paris Johnson played fine on the right. It's not something that you'd want to do. I mean, but if that's like, okay, best player available, up left tackle, take him. Figure it out. You figure it out. Who cares? Truly. If you want to trade back and draft Josh Simmons and pop him on the right side, and then you have Justin Fry, his offensive line coach from Ohio State, now the offensive line coach for the Cardinals, you do it. The dance between my head that I'm going through here, which I struggle with, like trying to find a landing, is not many teams are going to want to trade up unless that's kind of where I'm at. Unless there's a wide receiver at 16 that somebody wants to move up and get. But you're looking at Dallas drafting before the Cardinals. They're going to draft a wide receiver. I think they're 12. Matthew Golden is the guy that's mocked there. Like, they're going to draft a wide receiver. It could be a spot for Omari and Hampton. It could be a spot like what you want is as many quarterbacks and running backs to go before the Cardinals. Like, dude, if you're telling me that there's no shot that Jackson Dart goes in the top 15, I disagree. There's always one. There's always one that's like, woo, where did that come from? So that's what I struggle with. It's like, not many teams are going to want to move up to get a pass rusher or to get an offensive lineman or to get a defensive lineman at that spot because the premium, the top are already gone. And then the pass rush group is so deep that you can get one in the mid-20s without trading up. Now, if there's a wide receiver like T-Mac from Arizona, if somebody wants to move up to 16 and the Cardinals can go back to the mid-20s and you can get your offensive lineman or pass rusher there and then pick up maybe a third-round pick to move back, sure. Let's have a conversation. It's a Monty special. But when the reports are out that nobody wants to move up, everybody's looking to trade back, it kind of makes more of a premium for that 16th spot where it's like, get it right. It doesn't matter if you reach, quote unquote, reach for an offensive lineman at 16. It doesn't matter. You're not going to have another pick until the 40s. Get your guy. It was the same thing with Darius Robinson last year. Get your guy. Who cares? Oh, well, he was mocked to go at 27. Who cares? Get your dude. And I just can't bring this home. I can't help but think they're trying to figure out who they can get in the second round, not necessarily at 16. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Gray Zable. Yup. Next. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. Leave a review or reviews are left if you so desire. I'm happy that you're here. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I did want to mention this. If anybody, and I'm not, an all-world dude or anything like that, but I've been in the media space for, 15 years or so now. And if anybody has a podcast or wants to start something or wants to get into sports radio, whatever it is, and need some advice, you're welcome to DM me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. I'm happy to chat with anybody. Share whatever information I can. I don't really, I'm happy to chat with people. I'm love to give back in that way if it's something that people are interested in. Okay, so Gray Zable, North Dakota State, interior offensive lineman extraordinaire. Showed out at the Senior Bowl, was one of Marcus Mosier's favorite dudes. Go with me here. The Cardinals need pass rush help. Yep. Depth. They need interior defensive line help. Depth. Yep. One thing about the interior defensive line, who cares if there's guys in their late 20s, early 30s? Calais is older, but Dalvin Tomlinson is young enough. Like, youth isn't everything. Production is. And Calais Campbell has been producing at a high level for the last decade plus. So, even though he's older since turning 30, it's like turning 39 years ago. Just, that's not, they need to get younger, draft a guy. That's not a reason to draft a guy. Not a sole reason that would, move the ship for them to draft that position just because of youth. Gray Zable, interior offensive line extraordinaire, can play all 5 positions, I believe, but he's played left guard, he's played center, he's played right guard. My biggest fear going into this season, remember my biggest fear 3 years ago was not having Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins playing meaningful snaps together, and that happened. DeAndre Hopkins suspended for 6 weeks, then Hollywood Brown gets hurt like the last play of week 6, right as DeAndre Hopkins was coming back. And now you can watch them lose a Super Bowl together in Kansas City. My biggest fear going into 2025 is a contingency plan if Yalta Froholt goes down. And of course, knock on wood, you never want anybody to get injured, whether it's your family member or your most hated rival. You never want anybody to get injured. If you do, you should seek help. But this locomotive cannot slow down regardless of what happens injury-wise in 2025. So, I would feel over the moon content going into the 2025 draft, or going into the 2025 season, if the Cardinals drafted Gray Zable at 16 or trade back or whatever, they get him in the first round, and they don't have another, even if they don't have another pick the rest of the draft, I'm good. I'm good. This roster's ready to rip, dude. The rest of it is depth. Now, naturally, they have 4 other picks right now. They'll probably have more with what Monty Ossenfort tends to do. But you draft a guy who can back up any position on the offensive line, namely the interior, which is where the Cardinals have struggled more than on the outside for 15 years, then you're set. I'm good. Well, North Dakota State, it's not a D1 heavy hitter school. There's always, the old adage is if you're a good football player, they'll find you. This is that. This dude isn't severely undersized and just beat up dudes who had, French class on Monday. North Dakota State may as well be a D1 light school anyways. It's always them and South Dakota State in the championship game pretty much anyways for their conference, right? Or for their league. So this is the high IQ pick. It's not the obvious one. And when I say high IQ, I'm not saying, I'm a genius for saying this. No. I'm saying it feels like a Monty pick. What Monty Ossenfort does, that is the antithesis, among other things, of what Steve Keim did or / couldn't do, is evaluate offensive line talent. For the most part. I know that Steve Keim brought in Kelvin Beachum, which was great. And Kelvin's been great. And he signed another 1-year deal. He's great. He's going to retire a Cardinal. Fantastic offseason signing then for pennies on the dollar from what it seems like he could have gotten elsewhere. But there was a lot more Andre Smith? Andre Smith? Can't remember his name. Andre Smith? I can't remember. Played with the Giants and the Bengals. He was terrible with the Cardinals. A lot more of those than Kelvin Beachum's. So Monty Ossenfort can diagnose offensive line talent. Brian Yalta Froholt. It's one of the most underrated signings since Monty came over. So if you have a dude who can fill in or inevitably take over one of those roles, ideal. Chef's kiss. Boom. Haven't said that in a while. And even if Isaiah Adams is set to start at right guard and they re-signed Evan Brown to play left guard, and then you've got Yalta Froholt in the middle, who got his contract extension last offseason, I believe, this is the snowball effect. You draft a dude, you don't have to play him every snap of every play his rookie year, but being an heir apparent is so important to keep the machine moving forward. Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, perfect example. Trey Benson, not a perfect example, because James Conner has no slowdown in him right now. He wasn't drafted. That's the fool's errand that I really try to massage out of people. They drafted that position. That means that guy's done. That means that guy's taken over. That means that's it. No. And that was obvious last year that that's no. Budda Baker, no. But if you draft an interior offensive lineman and he can move in, and replace for bad performance or injury, and the locomotive keeps moving downhill, yes. And the John Gaines experiment, we'll see. I mean, it really sucks that he got hurt his rookie year because he was slated. I think that he got hurt, and that was the impetus for them bringing in Yalta Frolt. I think. But he was the interior dude that had rave reviews that they got in the 4th or 5th round. I think it was 4th round, that draft. But if you bring in a guy like Gray Zable, and he pops right away, you're set. The interior's set, and you can just move him around like a chess piece. I don't really see a downside. The pass rush and the interior of the defensive line has improved so exponentially compared to last year that you can run with mid-round day 2 picks to fill that out if you can get one of the better offensive linemen in a very light offensive line class in 2025. That's why I'm all for it. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you Monday.